What happens when bunny bees pollinate cabbages with magic crystals? You get the mega phenomenon known as Cabbage Patch Kids. Hit it. It was 1982. Conan the Barbarian popularized sword and sorcery. Hall & Oates couldn't go for that. And Coleco began mass-producing the Cabbage Patch Kids line. I'm your host, Jerry D, with another episode of Totally Rad Christmas, the podcast that talks all things Christmas in the 80s. Toys, movies, specials, music, and fads. If it was gnarly during Christmas in the 80s, we got it covered. Now, joining me is a very special guest, Julia Colburn. You might know her as the most popular of the hosts of the Way Awesome 'Tis the podcast. Julia, how's it going?
It's going good. I cannot escape the who's your favorite host stigma, and I opt out. I straight up I like to refer to myself as the girl host on 'Tis the podcast because I do claim that one because I can.
You can, yeah.
Only one. Oh, I'm so happy to be here with you tonight, Jerry.
Well, thank you. Thanks for coming. Yeah.
I mean, we talk about Jerry all the time at 'Tis the podcast because you're so active in our communities and you're so funny and you
so opinionated
feedback. I mean, I love it, and you like all of the cool stuff that we all like on the podcast too. Hence the birth of your podcast.
Exactly,
so
and it really is because of y'all that I started doing this. So I have to thank you for that. Now,
I love that. Oh, your theme song is I love your theme song, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
It makes me happy listening to it. I can't not dance.
So. Oh, well, I appreciate it. I need to change the mix a little bit. To me, it's not mixed very well, but my daughter actually heard it and she wrote like some verses herself, and she has like her own little voice memo on on the iPad. So now I'm thinking I might turn it into like a whole full song and just use her.
You must.
Yeah.
You have to.
So maybe it's a project, but that probably won't be for a while.
Right. Sure.
All right, let's see. Here we go. Before we get into our subject, I did want to say, so I had Anthony and Tom on here. They posed the question, which one of them is heat miser and which one of them is snow miser? They both unanimously agreed that you were definitely Mother Nature.
Yes, absolutely. I totally believe that.
But it was.
I think. Oh, I mean, what did y'all decide? Who was heat miser and
well,
who
they
was
each
snow
gave
miser?
an answer, and I was just curious to see what you think, and then I'll tell you.
So, Tom is definitely snow miser because #no foot prisons, right? He
Yeah.
wears shorts all year and he's like the pinnacle. He hates hot weather, and so he's snow miser. And so Anthony has to be heat miser because like his face gets super red when he gets really angry at Tom. So I figure it's just a personification of Anthony, of angry Anthony we hear sometimes. So is that what they said?
Tom did agree with you, and Anthony originally agreed with you and then changed his mind, saying that he was more like Snow Miser because he was taller than Tom and his nose was bigger.
Okay, so pure physical traits.
Yeah, yes, but originally he did say that he was angry Anthony, so heat miser.
That's pretty great.
That's pretty cool that y'all, generally aligned there with your answers. That's kind of a rare thing for y'all.
Yeah, we've had some rough recordings lately. The one last night, which will be airing shortly, was real rough, but that usually means it's real funny.
That's I saw that on your group. Anthony posted something about that we at war.
Pretty much.
Wow.
It was a little bit.
Well, I'm excited. Yeah, those are always my favorite when there's hardcore disagreements.
Yeah, we have them from time to time, but all in good fun, all in good nature, all in good fun.
Oh
So
yeah, you can totally tell you guys are, you're having a blast when you're doing it, and you're just really good friends at this point. So,
yeah,
you're
we
pretty
are
much
for
family, I'd
sure.
say. So,
We are family. We
yeah.
are family.
Well, I think of you all as family. So I imagine it's even more so for you.
We yeah, we totally think of our awesome community of listeners as just little branches of this wonderful family that's happened over the course of a few years. And you'll have your own little family too, and we're so happy to be included in your family.
Well, thank you. Tonight, this family is talking about Cabbage Patch Kids.
Well, 3 weeks ago we had a sale on Cabbage Patch, and we had about 200 people at the front door, and we had 36 dolls, and we had a near riot. So this way we decided we'd have a draw and be more orderly.
Demand for the dolls that come complete with birth certificates and adoption papers has been fierce. All the toy shops and department stores in the city are sold out. Some have waiting lists with as many as 300 names. Others won't take names because they don't expect any more shipments.
So, what is your experience with Cabbage Patch Kids? First off,
So 1980. Okay, so was it 83 when they were such a big deal in the stores? It'd be the 83
'83.
Christmas season.
That was
right?
yes, that was their pinnacle. '83. Yeah.
Okay. So I was born in 82. So by the time Christmas of 83 rolled around, I wanted me a Cabbage Patch Kid doll. And
Nice.
so my mom had to call the store and get an appointment, had to show up at a specific time,
Yep.
and they gave her two choices. One of them had a pink dress and long hair and freckles, I do
Hmm.
believe. And the other one was one of those newborn Cabbage Patch
Oh
babies
yeah.
with a
Hmm.
yellow dress on. And I looked at both of them and I picked the newborn. And it was like my lovey
Nice.
for years upon years upon years. So
Oh wow.
I have all the love for Cabbage Patch. But I have all the love for my Cabbage Patch. Like just
I
mine.
I understand. Yeah.
I never got any other ones. I I watched the Christmas special we'll be talking about in a bit, and I made the face I probably make when I watch a lot of 80s stuff that I vaguely remember,
Yeah.
not the stuff I loved in the 80s, but stuff I
Right.
was like, I think I saw that. And it's a real interesting story, Cabbage Patches.
It really is. I mean, there's so much controversy over these dolls that I didn't expect.
Yes.
And I had a vague. I mean, I kind of remember hearing some things, but it wasn't until I really started, looking at it again that it reminded
Yeah.
me. I mean, just how yikes it all was.
Yeah. There could be a true Hollywood story on Cabbage Patch Kids.
There should be. Yes, I agree.
Dark
I did
underside.
have a Cabbage Patch Kid, but
Did
I
you?
got it the same year that I started collecting like He-Man and G.I. Joe. So
Oh,
it
sure.
wasn't really one of my favorites. I mean, by that point I was already 3. And my brother, though, who was like 1.5 or so, he loved his. And I remember it's funnily enough, I remember the name of his doll. I don't remember mine at all, but his name was Toby Brooks. Mine was something, I don't know, but he had like a greenish, bluish overalls that were really cool.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
had like that white shirt with the collar underneath, the
Yes,
shirt
they
sleeves,
did.
and the
Toby
little cap.
Brooks sounds like a country western singer.
Right.
Toby
It really-
Brooks.
yeah. What do you get when you cross Toby Keith and Garth Brooks?
Yeah, that's it. Green overalls and a nice Peter Pan collar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, David's Toby Brooks. He had, I think his was a yellow, like a little yellow jumper.
Yeah.
So and it was kind of like corduroy, I think. That
Yeah.
kind of had those little pleats or whatever it is, like corduroy does.
Yeah.
But I remember his was the same way. He loved his, to death. He loved that thing, and
Yeah.
I think I sold mine, or I let my mom donate it so that
Yeah.
they could raise money for like a sick friend of hers.
Oh.
But it's okay because I still have my He-Man.
There you go. Right. Well, so interesting question. Did your
Okay.
brother ever play with his Cabbage Patch doll, or did he just like tote it around and sleep with it and just like Because there are toys you shove under your arm and you keep with you
And
all
you
the
just kind of
time.
keep, yeah.
And there are toys you play with. And I was totally into She-Ra, and like I would play
Nice.
with She-Ra and I would
Yeah.
play with my Barbies. But I never played with my Cabbage Patch Kid.
I don't recall him doing that either. I think it was very much just kind of with him, and he'd sleep with
Yeah.
him, and
Okay.
bring him around. But I really don't think it was that kind of play with.
Yeah,
It
I've
wasn't like,
never seen a kid play with a Cabbage Patch Kid.
yeah. And we bought some for my daughter when, my brother bought some for my daughter when she was born, and then we bought some of the smaller ones that came out a few years ago, that are only
Uh-huh.
like maybe 7 or 8 inches tall.
Uh-huh.
And she, not really into it, but she's big into like
Mhm.
Winnie the Pooh. So I
Mm,
think that always just took precedence over anything else. But
sure.
but yeah, so Cabbage Patch Kids, they have like a crazy history. They were originally started in the 70s. 78's like their official starting date, and they were called the Little People. And they
Mhm.
were done by an art student named Xavier Roberts, which is the name of the boy that takes care of them in
Yes.
in the special that we're going to talk about in a bit. Um,
Yes.
but apparently, Mr. Roberts kind of copied the idea, or was heavily inspired, we'll say, uh, by from another
That's
lady.
generous.
That, yeah. I try to be as generous as I can on this show.
I like that.
but but yeah, so there was a whole lawsuit involved, and they ended up settling out of court. But I don't know the details of all that. I'm really intrigued to know what the settlement was, but
Oh, yes.
I'm sure that's something that probably won't ever be revealed.
Oh,
Um,
probably never.
like how much of a percentage is she getting, or something like that. But
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to know that also. I mean, they're very, very similar. Very, very
very,
similar.
yes, they really are. But yeah, so in 81 they really started gaining popularity. They were still at that time made out of all cloth.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 82 he sold them to the Coleco company, and they started producing them, and they started doing the plastic, or the vinyl type head,
Yep.
the one that like hurts you when it when it falls on your
Yes, it
foot.
does. It'll clock you.
Yes. Yes. I don't
Oh.
remember much about my Cabbage Patch, but I do remember dropping it, and it hurt quite a bit. But yeah, so it really took off from there, and that's like you were saying, 83 was when they were like such a phenomenon that people were waiting like 3 to 4 hours in line.
Yeah.
There's like a famous
There
picture.
were riots.
Yeah,
Riots in stores for these things.
it's still considered the best-selling new doll of all time.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
so crazy, and it spawned, I mean, all sorts of things. They not only the dolls, but various merchandise that
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it really was a phenomenon. But I tell you,
Mm-hmm.
the thing I don't remember is that backstory about the bunny bees, and then they pollinate the cabbages with like
Yeah,
magic crystals, and
I did not remember
yeah,
remember that
that's
either.
something totally different. But
Yeah.
apparently they're located in Georgia,
Yes.
and that's another detail that I did not recall at all. I mean,
Yes.
it's so funny when preparing for this episode. I was doing all this research, and it was completely different from the others, because when I was doing like GI Joe and He-Man and all that other stuff, I mean, I knew all that stuff.
Right. Right.
This one,
You lived it.
I did, yeah. I mean, it's so funny because as you know, and as most of the people that know me, and some of your listeners as well know, I'm definitely a comic book geek,
Mhm.
big time sci-fi fantasy nerd kind of guy, and I mean, I know that stuff, and this I cannot for the life of me recall. So I'm gonna be trying my best during this, and it'll be a lot easier when we get to the Christmas special, I think. But
There you go. Yeah. Well, it's funny, when you grow up and you start to get rid of some of your kid stuff, right? And some
Mhm.
stuff's really hard to get rid of.
Yeah,
I still have my She-Ra stuff. It's at my mom's house. Like, I'm not
nice.
getting rid of my She-Ra stuff, right? You
Yeah,
keep stuff for your kids, and then you keep stuff because it's sentimental. My Cabbage Patch is something I never gave away.
nice.
And even her birth certificate,
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's the only reason I know the Georgia part is because there's the birth certificate inside of the box when you get your Cabbage Patch, and you're supposed to
Yeah.
sign it, and you take this pledge to take care of him forever. And it's signed by Xavier, and it says in there something about Georgia, and I just always remember. I feel like when we would take road trips and we'd go through Georgia, I'd be like, this is where the Cabbage Patch came from.
That's, yeah.
Where they're grown in the state. And I
Yeah.
never thought about how weird it is that they're grown in the ground. And it never occurred to me that, and the fact that he signs the butts of all of these Cabbage Patch dolls. And I remember that did perplex me. Yeah, a little bit, because Lily, I named her, I don't know what her birth name was, but I named her Lily.
Nice.
But her rear end was signed, and I always thought that was odd. I'm like, why did you sign your rear end? It's permanent forever. Why would he do that? Which makes the cartoon a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yes.
So.
Oh, man. So apparently the Stork that's in charge of them, Colonel Casey, oversees their, I don't know if it's their delivery or whatever, but he kind of oversees them over at Babyland General Hospital, which is in Georgia, like we were saying. And I guess in most of their animated adventures, he's the narrator as well. So he kind of like bookends the whole story. You know, he's the framing device, I guess, if you will. And I mean, it's so weird because, you know, they're these kids that I guess they're just supposed to look like cute little babies, you know, but they're born in the ground. So yeah, you got to get your head around that. But then there's like an anthropomorphic, you know, stork that in the story as well. And then in that special that we're, you know, that we'll be hitting on, there's a talking weasel and a talking like jackrabbit.
Yeah, I'm confused.
The world they live in is just so strange, and I want to I want to visit, you know, like I wanted to live there just to see what else is going to come up. Yeah, but yeah, so in '85 they came out with this Christmas special, the Cabbage Patch Kids' first Christmas, and it is a doozy of a special.
There, honeybees spreading their crystals. And there's the kids. Hello, kids. The young boy's Xavier Roberts. He happened on the Cabbage Patch one day by accident. And him and me are the kids' only friends from the outside world.
It's so saccharine and, you know, like cloyingly sweet. But in a way, you know, it's also real innocent. And I actually kind of enjoyed it when I didn't think too hard about it.
That's the trick. That's the one you don't overanalyze.
Yes.
Yeah. It was, I don't remember watching this ever.
I honestly don't either. And I remember most specials and stuff from the 80s, but this one, I mean, it definitely escaped me.
Yeah.
I would have remembered.
Yeah.
So, okay. So the special, basically, the long story short of it is the Cabbage Patch Kids, or they learn about the Christmas spirit and they mistake it for an actual thing. And so they decide to go to the city to try to find it. I guess that's like the nutshell version.
That's it. That's it in a nutshell.
Yes. It's a really short special. It's only about, like 23, 24 minutes long.
Yeah.
But the thing that struck me is that there's two sets of villains in it, and they're almost exactly the same. I don't know if you noticed that.
So were they different?
They were different, yes.
Well, I mean, but are they different people?
Yes, I looked it up, and that's what really perplexed me. So the story starts off, you know, they're at home, or I guess it's in the Cabbage Patch. I don't really know.
Yeah, in their little cabin by the patch.
Yeah,
where they
behind
all
like
live.
a waterfall and all sorts of craziness.
Yeah.
And Xavier Roberts is there, and he's telling them about Christmas, and you know, they're talking about what they're going to do, and he mentions the Christmas spirit.
And everyone comes to the city to see the Christmas spirit in the air.
Wow! Boy! Wow! Boy!
Wow! Well, I better be getting home to help trim the tree. I'll be back tomorrow. Bye, kids. Bye, Colonel Casey.
Bye!
Don't forget what I said about the Christmas spirit.
And so their leader, Otis Lee, is like, well, let's, hey, let's go find out. And the Stork, Colonel Casey, he warns them.
You've never been to the city before, kids. Be careful.
And right away, as they're getting past their little waterfall exit, it's so crazy just to think about it. They're pretty much attacked by this old lady named Lavender McDade. And then that's when the anthropomorphic weasel and jackrabbit, Bo Weasel and Cabbage Jack, they try to catch them because they can't fit in their mine. Like they're use some dynamite.
She wants these little kids to go down in the mine holes so they can get the stuff out of the mine.
Yep.
It's a very specific need she's needing, and I don't know why she wants to fill it with tiny humans, right? When she could just, in fact, that weasel is designed to live in teeny tiny small holes.
Exactly.
So, why couldn't have he weaseled down there? And I don't know. Very confused.
I guess he was too big.
I guess.
I don't know. Maybe it's like her son or something at this point. She doesn't want to endanger her son. I don't know. I just know that they try to snatch them, and of course shenanigans ensue, and they fall all over themselves, and the kids end up hiding in a tree that gets chopped down to be taken to the city and sold. And
that's right.
I love those kind of really convenient plot devices.
Oh yeah, totally convenient. That's the tree they run up against, and nobody is injured in the falling. It's a gigantic tree, by the way.
It's huge. I don't know what they're going to use
it
for, but
town. It's the middle of a town tree. I'm assuming it's literally the biggest tree on the planet.
Yeah, or like a Clark Griswold tree or something. But
that's right.
Is there enough room for the angel? No, but I don't know. It's so convenient. But so they get to the city, and immediately they notice another old lady whose name is Bertha. So it's a different lady, and she has two sidekicks that I don't remember their name, but essentially they're like the Cabbage Jack and the Bo Weasel of the city.
They look just like them.
They look just, and one of the kids even calls it out on him, saying like, "Hey, that lady looks just like Lavender."
Excuse me, lady. Where can we find the Christmas spirit? Beat it, brat! That lady looks like Lavender, and the men look like Bo Weasel and Cabbage Jack. Well, at least we know that the Christmas spirit can't be one of them.
But they're definitely different people?
They're definitely different people, yeah.
Okay, I was thinking like the magical waterfall that they walk through that separates like their land from reality. Like somehow, I don't know. I thought they were just the same people. That's so confusing.
That's what I thought at first. And I was like, oh, that's a pretty cool disguise for for the weasel. And
yeah.
No.
Oh, I had questions. I'm like, oh, do they always look like humans to non-cabbage people?
Maybe that. That's an interesting story. I'd like to see that.
That would. Yeah, right. They should have unpacked that a little bit. Yeah, and these bad guys just want them because they want money. Right? These people want money. So you kids, you go steal me money. They find the wallet and give me the wallet with money. So.
Yeah. Okay. So here it is. It's Bertha, Gus, and Fingers.
Oh,
Fingers. Right. That's like such a generic '80s name.
It is. Reminds me of Dick Tracy.
Yeah. Oh man, I used to love Dick Tracy. That was like I remember when the movie came out with Warren Beatty.
Yes.
And Madonna. Yeah, it's so good.
Yep. That was a great movie.
It was a great movie.
It's one of those I'm a little afraid to watch again. I haven't seen it in a really long time.
Because you won't like it as much.
Ooh, how great was this really?
Yeah.
It was magical when I was a kid. But
and I remember seeing that with, of course, my brothers, my dad, and then my cousin. And he was older because my mom's the youngest of like 6 sisters.
Oh,
so so he was married to one of the daughters of the oldest sisters. So there was quite an age difference between us. And I remember after we watched it, he was like, "Oh, that wasn't good," and us kids were like, "Oh, that was amazing! It was so so incredible!" And so yeah, I have a feeling if I go back and watch it, it's not going to hold up.
Yeah.
So
just don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't watch it again.
Who knows? Maybe we'll cover
Preserve
it.
it in your mind.
Maybe we'll cover it for a bonus episode or something.
Ooh, that's a good idea. You should definitely do that.
Fingers, yeah. But yeah, so they get to the city. They immediately see this gang, I guess you could say, and they rob someone, and they're like, "Hey, have you seen the Christmas spirit?" And they're like, "Get out of here, scram!" And so they run into like this couple, this childless couple, who saves them from like oncoming traffic. And the couple makes a big deal about what's her name, Louise, something Louise,
with the freckles,
a little redhead girl, and super cute kind of girl. And she makes a big deal about how she wishes she has children, and so the husband takes out a handkerchief to give to his wife because he's a nice guy. But his wallet comes out, and the kids find the wallet, and they open it up and see all the money, and of course the gang sees all the money, and they want the money, like you said. So it's so like 1, 2, 3,
it is
just paint by numbers kind of a thing. And
it's a Scooby-Doo chase the rest of the episode, pretty
much. Yeah,
I mean, I was watching and I'm like, oh, it reminds me of Scooby-Doo.
Oh man, now I want to see Scooby-Doo.
I loved Scooby-Doo.
I did too. Yeah,
age also.
yeah, Scooby-Doo was just really amazing. I always wondered what Scooby snacks tasted like, honestly.
Right?
Because Shaggy and Scooby would just down them, and I thought, well, Shaggy can eat them; they must be really tasty.
Yeah.
Zoinks! I don't know.
Shaggy would eat just about anything, though.
Well, that's true. Yeah. No, my favorite was when they would make those huge sandwiches and tie the strings on them, and just.
So good. Nothing looks as tasty as a sandwich in a 1980s or early 90s cartoon.
I agree. Yep.
I mean, I would read what's the comic book where the really long sandwich, the comic strip. It was a Sunday strip, and there was a very long sandwich involved. Blondie? Was it Blondie?
Oh, maybe.
Wasn't her husband Dagwood or something?
Yeah, Dagwood.
That's where Dagwood came from. So I think it was that one. And I just remember reading the strip on Sunday and not caring about the strip at all, but that sandwich was so good. Nothing looks as good as cartoon food.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you kind of really do have to overemphasize it, to make it appealing, or to make it at least look like the characters want it, I guess.
Right,
I don't know.
Right.
But, oh man, yeah, good times. But anyway, so they're running away from the gang, and they get to an orphanage, and that's where they meet Jenny, another little freckled, redheaded girl, a little bit older than them, who, and this is the part I didn't quite get. She says all the other kids were like spending Christmas with some families to see if they'll be adopted. So I guess it's maybe like a foster thing until they're adopted, I guess. But she didn't want to. I mean, she said she didn't want to because she's different, and she didn't think she'd be adopted.
Right.
Okay.
I'm different from other kids. All kids are different. Sure, she's different from me, and he's different from me. Being different's what makes every kid special.
So I think it's just her, probably what I got, and she was a little older also. She's not little. I imagine I got the sense that she's been disappointed before, and it hurts too much to be disappointed.
Yeah.
So she's not going to do that this year and put herself in that place, because she had a brace on one of her legs.
She did, yeah.
So she thinks she's just not good enough. And she was adorable, and
she was, yeah.
I felt bad for her, and it was sad. It got real at that moment.
it's
like,
super
dang it.
My kids. So
got serious.
I watched this with my children, and they just like turned to me and looked like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, she's got the Christmas blues. I didn't know how to tell them. I didn't want to get into it with them. It was like 2 p.m. And I thought, okay, no, let's just let's avoid this right now.
There's some unexpected heavy moments in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, even the child, the childless couple, that's like, I thought going into the city would take my mind off of, having an
Yeah,
empty
and
home. And I thought, wow, okay.
she breaks down right there in the street.
Hmm.
Yeah, it got pretty serious.
It really did. Yeah. Uh, I don't recall. Again, I'm not the biggest Cabbage Patch fan, but I don't recall them being like that intense. You know, I thought they were just
I
kind of
don't either.
just like a my buddy kind of guy. You know, you take it with you and
Yeah.
sprinkle it, and that's about it.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, so they meet Jenny. They at first they think that she's with the family because they hear her
Right.
through the door, and you know she's talking, but she's just pretending. And so they burst in the
Right.
room, and they discover, yeah, she's just imagining playing with like parents and family and decorating a tree, and it's actually like a coat rack with blankets and coats and stuff and hats
Yeah.
all thrown on. And I was like super bummed at that point. I mean,
Yeah. That
yeah.
was a total downer.
Yeah, it got me.
It was.
But then they're like, you know, oh, but you know, every kid is special because we're different, you know, and
Yeah.
so I was like, oh, it's a good message. Okay, we'll go from
It
there.
is.
And so
And
I
then there
made,
was a song.
and there was a
there,
song,
right?
of course, yeah.
Some of us big kids and some of us small. Some kids are shorter and some kids are tall. Everyone's different. There's me and there's you. But one day a year, every dream can come true. 'Cause it's everybody's Christmas and everybody's joy. Everybody's special, each girl and each boy. Yes, it's everybody's Christmas. Together we'll share. For everyone, every year, everywhere.
Again, not a memorable song. And I mean,
No.
you know, you're a musician. You know music.
Right. It was one of those you start to hear it and you're like, this sounds like something I've heard before.
Yes.
But then as soon as it's over, you're like, I can't remember how that went at all.
Yes, exactly.
It was very Annie-ish, but like not in a memorable Annie way, just
Yeah.
in a, you know, kids singing Annie way.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, it has to be a song in it. It's a Christmas TV
Mhm.
special. There has to be at
There
least
has
one
to be.
song.
Yeah.
And there was some Christmas songs in it as well, them singing some Christmas carols, which was
Mhm.
nice.
That was, yeah.
It set the mood.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's the most Christmas special I've ever seen, but it definitely beats out The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus that I did with Anthony the other night. That one is crazy. I mean, it's
That's a
like,
Rankin Bass, right?
it is. It was their last,
Okay.
like, you know, puppetry animagic style one,
Okay.
and it. I mean, even for us who love Rankin Bass, it was rough. So,
Oh no, I'm sorry.
so when you guys get to it, I can't wait to I can't wait to hear that episode.
Yeah, this one does not feel Christmassy.
Not really.
I mean, it
no.
really doesn't, because you
Mm-mm.
start off with them not even fully understanding the Christmas stuff. Like they talk
Yeah.
about putting lights on the turkey and,
On the turkey, yeah.
you know, yeah, it's foreign to them. And so that immediately doesn't feel Christmassy. And then you've got this little girl, and it just nothing looks even Christmassy much in the
Yeah.
special.
Yeah,
So
it's very.
that's a bit of a bummer when Christmassy special isn't very Christmassy for me. But
Yeah. Well, that's like I know that was kind of Tom's issue with Emmett Otter as well
yeah,
on y'all's show.
see, I'm full of exceptions because I really loved Emmett Otter. It's really not very Christmassy.
I
but-
grew up with Emmett Otter, and it was always a Christmas special to me, you know. And then
Yeah.
I went back and saw it, and it's like, oh yeah, I guess it's kind of a Christmas special, but you know, it's
Yeah.
still, to me, it still is. So
right.
I can't.
Sure. Nostalgia's pretty powerful.
Yeah, I mean, well, it really is basically just like the gift of the Magi, you know, essentially.
Right.
But yeah, so this one just kind of like that one just doesn't really feel Christmassy. It's very superficial, you know, like the
It is.
Christmas stuff, and
Mhm.
and I had the feeling that they really just wanted to push the everybody's different, but that makes a special message more.
Yes.
Like I
I
think
think
that
so,
was
too.
that was more important than the Christmas feels of it all.
Mm-hmm. And that's cool. I mean, it's a good message for Cabbage Patch. There's so many different kinds for every
Yeah.
kid, and so it fit.
Yeah, it did. It really did. But it, like you said, it was kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
It was a
It was a
downer.
bit of a bummer.
So they kind of take her tree and they go into like the playroom and they help her decorate it up, and
Mm-hmm.
that's all during the musical number, the forgettable number, and but they kind of cheer her up, and then they mention, oh yeah, well there's this couple that wants children that we ran into, so let's go show her you, because you kind of look the same as Paula Louise, and maybe they liked her, they wanted her, so hey, maybe they want you instead, which is
That's right.
that's like a crazy premise, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm glad it's
It
not
is
just
kind
me.
of kids' rationale, though.
It really,
so.
yes, it really is.
But
Like, I could see
yeah, when you watch it later, you're like, oh, okay, okay,
like I could see my 7-year-old saying that,
yeah, oh yeah,
but yeah, as an adult, you're like, oh, wait, hold on, what? That kind of a thing.
yeah.
But they notice that they don't want to go out the same way they came in, which I think was through a
Mhm.
window, because the
Mhm.
gang is after them. But of course, because the window is open, the gang overhears, and that they're going to sneak out the back, and so they catch them in the back, and they do that typical villain
They
bully thing where they turn them upside down and like shake them to try.
shake them, and like all the things come out of their pockets.
Yes.
Like, how much can their pockets fit? Because like stuff just kept coming out of their pockets.
Well,
not just the wallet, but I was like, hey, these kids.
well, not
have
just
a lot of
that,
stuff
but
in their pocket.
I remember clothes in the 80s, and they were tight. Nothing's coming out of
Right.
those pockets.
No loose clothes
No.
for kids that age in the 80s. No.
Yeah.
No, it was tight, and it was corduroy, like
Yes.
you said,
Yep.
that doesn't stretch. It's
Yep.
like, you're not fitting that stuff in your pockets, kids. There's no way.
Right. And even if you could, it's not coming out by
No.
shaking.
No, it's not. It was really funny just watching them like literally turn them upside down and
Yep.
just start shaking. It was like, that's kind of funny, actually. It's not supposed to be, but that's pretty
Yeah,
funny.
but it's like that typical school bully type thing where they give me your lunch
Yes.
money, and so they turn you upside down, and so,
Absolutely.
of course they don't find the wallet, they get all frustrated, and
Hmm.
then the kids manage to get away.
Hmm.
Now okay, this is where I forget, I think they run into like the park, right?
Yes.
And they like spend the night under the bridge or something.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Let's
That
see.
passes very quickly. At this point, I mean, like, it's almost the very end.
Right. Oh, well,
Of the
actually,
special.
I guess actually after they escape, before that, they go to that hotel the couple were staying at first, don't they?
And they see the nice lady and the man.
Yes.
Yes. They get chased around a bit by not just the robbers, but also the hotel people.
Yes, the concierge and all those
Yeah,
guys.
and it's like the Prince Hotel, and
The
so they
Prince,
also
yeah.
kind of get this in their mind that the nice lady and that it's like Prince
Like their
equals
royalty, yeah.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, and
It's
you
very
have
Home
more
Alone
Scooby-Doo
2.
chasing. It is very Home Alone 2. It is.
I wonder
Minus the Tim Curry.
I wonder if that's where they got the idea from.
Well,
I'm
I
gonna
would
start
hope
spreading that
not.
around. No, it's like Home Alone 2 ripped off Cabbage Patch Kids.
Oh my gosh.
No, but yeah. So of course they catch them. They don't get to see the folks, and then the
Mhm.
gang catches up with them, and then that's when they run into the
Yes.
park. Okay.
And the robbers do get the wallet. I can't remember how they get the wallet at some point, but they're like immediately caught and arrested.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
the minute they get it.
Yes.
So
So
it's like,
I had to rewind
Yeah.
this part because I wasn't sure, but so the kids are asleep, and the robbers are there, and they literally just lift up the kid's helmet, because he had stashed it under his helmet.
right.
The leader, Otis Lee, he's like the only name that I really know, but so he was sleeping on it, and the robber says,
Thieves always keep their money under the pillow.
and that's like one little throwaway line that, like, okay. That's some interesting logic, but I guess it worked. And that's how she finds the wallet.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, they like try to convince them to steal for them, and they're gonna like take Jenny, and then yes, the cops that are just driving by, the black and white.
Right.
They say, hey, that looks like the kid that's missing from the orphanage, and hey, that's the gang that we've been looking for, is the pickpockets we've been looking for. And then bam, like you said, they're caught.
Yep.
So,
Just like that.
yep, that's exactly how it happens in real life, guys, all the time.
Oh boy.
So again, I mean, and I get it. It's, it's like a 20-minute thing. You gotta resolve everything quickly. But I mean, that's quick. That's
quick. That's real quick.
It's super quick, even for something like that. But so they try to find the lady again. They go back to the hotel and they see them, and they show them Jenny, and they say, yeah, why not? Let's adopt her. And then they decide they want to take Paula Louise too.
I'm glad you got a mom and dad, Jenny. I wish we could both have the same mom and dad. Then we'd really be sisters.
Maybe we could. That's a wonderful idea. Then we'll have a house full of freckles.
This will be our happiest Christmas ever.
I always wondered what it'd be like to have a mom and dad. Is it okay with you if I go?
Sure. It's just that we'll miss you. So we're unhappy for us, but we're also happy for you, aren't we?
Yay!
This is like the saddest line of like the whole thing, where the little boy Otis Lee is like, yeah, we're sad for us, but we're happy for you. And
I know. It was sad. It's a little sad.
It really is.
I felt bad for him.
The Cabbage Patch Kids' First Christmas, brought to you by Kmart, the place for all the good things that make Christmas dreams come true. Kmart, we've got it, and we've got it good.
There's a place where Christmas dreams come true. The Kmart Toy Store. Look inside and see what we've got. All the great new toys you and your kids will love a lot. We've got cars and trucks and helicopters. That should come as no surprise. And dolls and phones and board games for kids of every size. With Hasbro, Bradley, Mattel, Kenner, Fisher-Price, and Ideal, all the makers you've come to trust, we've been stocking up with a big Christmas rush. But before any of those toys make it to the shelf, we give them something very nice. We pick them up and give them a low Kmart price. Christmas dreams can come true. It's certainly happened before. And there's a place that makes the dreams real easy on you, the Kmart Toy Store.
I got a feeling I'm going to get something really good this Christmas.
Kmart, we've got it, and we've got it good.
We now return with the Cabbage Patch Kids Christmas.
And I know they try to end it on like a high note. All the rest of the gang are back, and they're
right.
Their actual turkey, and
they find out what the Christmas spirit actually is.
Exactly. You got to bring it all together.
They did that. But it's kind of a downer a little bit.
It really is.
I spiraled a little bit, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I started thinking of all these shelves full of Cabbage Patch Kids. And when one gets bought at the store, all of the others are like,
oh, no.
Hi, Jenny. We love you. I was like, oh gosh. I feel kind of responsible now for taking Lily all those years ago. Oh yeah, it's heavy. It's a heavy special.
It really, yes. It's much more deep than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, they try to lighten it up by saying, oh well, I guess we had the Christmas spirit after all. And the Christmas spirit is when what do they say, when you're making someone happy or something like that.
Yeah, that's what Xavier says.
Xavier, yeah.
And you're making somebody else happy.
And they're like, oh, okay, I get it. And that's it. That's the end. And, the crane kind of gives a little wrap up, or not crane, the stork. Colonel, he gives a little wrap up, and like, that's the whole special. And, it when you think about
it. But not before he doesn't give his wrap up until what's the girl with the freckles? What was not her? It was the other girl with the blonde braids.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
What was
I
her
don't know
name?
any of
I
their
can't
names.
remember her name either. But he doesn't give his wrap up until she pulls the turkey out of the oven and then says, "Would you like some, Colonel Casey?" And I'm like, "Oh dear God, please say no." He's like, "No, kids, I've got to go." And I'm like, "That's probably a good thing because that's a bird, and so are you."
Cannibalism.
Oh my gosh, it was like she just offered him some turkey.
I had forgotten about that. Oh man, it's terrible.
Oh gosh.
Yes. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, when she said that, and my eyes just, were just. I mean, they're popping out of my head. I know, and I'm sure my kids didn't get it at all. But
no, yeah, kids are just like, well, that was nice. He's offering him turkey. She's offering him turkey. That's super sweet.
Oh,
no kids.
man.
That's cannibalism.
Yeah. No, sorry. Let's talk about the Walking Dead here. No, it was a strange special, and like on one level it was like really sweet and I liked it, but then I came to my senses and it's like, okay, no, this is kind of it's kind of depressing. It's kind of sad, and it's definitely bonkers, like next level. So,
next level bonkers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it was bananas. So it's definitely not going to be added to my Christmas canon, I'll tell you that.
No, there's definitely no way. I regret I did not watch it with my kids. I think I might just have to do that just to see their reaction, because my teenagers probably will have a lot to say about it. Have one of these? How weird is that?
Yeah, for real. Yeah, that's right. Because you have a student in band, right?
I have 2 band students.
2 bands. Okay.
Yeah.
What do they play, by the way?
So my freshman is a clarinet player, and my 8th grader is a horn player, just like I was.
Nice. Right
yeah.
on.
So I get a woodwind and a brass, and I'm pretty sure my 8-year-old will be a percussionist someday. I can almost guarantee it. He suits the personality to a T.
Oh no.
Just like my clarinet player and my French horn player do.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Funny how they always sort. It's like sorting into Harry Potter houses.
Yes,
when you're
it really is. I was a high school band director for a couple of years, so I understand. Yes, it's. Yeah, I don't ever see the special coming out on like Blu-ray or anything like that.
No.
It's I think it's going to be one of those just that lives on forever on like YouTube kind of a thing.
Absolutely.
And I think I'm okay with that.
One of those.
I am anxious. I'm really, really curious to see if you cover it on your show. What Tom and Anthony would say about it.
That. Just for the snark that would ensue.
Oh,
I think it would be absolutely worth it.
Yes, I can't wait.
I'll have to add it to the list.
Patreon episode.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it was definitely something, and for being so short and so heavy, it's pretty forgettable, and which is kind of sad to say. I hate saying that about any Christmas special. I mean, you can say that about many of the Hallmark movies, because you've seen one of them, you've pretty much seen all of them.
Absolutely.
But, although I still love those, but this one,
they have the ambiance that's missing from.
Yeah, like I think you're right. I think that's what it is. It's just not Christmassy enough.
Nope, it's just not.
Yeah, which is a shame. But.
It is a shame. It really made me want to go back and watch some of the 80s cartoons I loved, like with Scooby-Doo. Like it made me want to go, watch better ones just because the look, the colors of 80s cartoons are always the same. It's the same color scheme, which just makes me feel happy.
Yeah.
It feels like a Saturday morning.
Yes.
And it feels like cereal. I don't know how to express it other than that.
No, I mean, you're exactly right. It, and because it wasn't like the best quality on YouTube either, it kind of reminded me of like those old, tube TVs that, is this not the best picture quality, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially ours, because when I grew up, our TV, and I ended up inheriting it when my parents got a new one, but I mean, you had to like let it warm up for a few minutes before it would actually
Yeah.
like, start to work, and so
Oh,
it
yeah.
kind of reminded me of that.
Yeah, I remember that. It would kind of fade in a little bit,
Yes,
and
exactly.
then it would be there, and you'd be like, "Yes, now
Yeah,
we're
all right,
rocking
I
and
got it.
rolling."
Yeah, yeah. If you want to watch a show, you got to turn in like a little early, you know.
That's right.
So
Good
yeah,
memories.
I completely agree. There was a huge like nostalgia for the era, not
Mhm.
necessarily the subject matter.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Yeah, I've been blessed that last week I got to see He-Man and talk He-Man and She-Ra with Tom, and then I got to talk G.I. Joe with Todd as well earlier. So I'm kind of going through all those. Michael
Yeah.
Christelman and I talked Mask, but I'm still working on that episode. We
Yeah.
had some technical issues, so but yeah, I've been pretty stoked that I get to like relive all these all these
Oh, yeah.
cartoons that were so cool.
Yes. So cool.
Yeah.
And it's so funny how you become so tied to that stuff,
Yes.
that it can immediately take you back.
Oh yeah.
Being in quarantine and all that stuff, with all of the kids at home, we've established like a new routine, right? And so
Yes.
part of our new routine is when 10 o'clock hits, we turn on The Price is Right, because my 8-year-old really likes it, and by then he's got most of his schoolwork done, and
Nice.
Marty really likes it, and it's good background noise.
Yeah.
But there is nothing quite like The Price is Right,
Oh man.
because I grew up watching it with my brother. He's 7
Yep.
years older than I am.
Oh, okay.
And the colors and the sounds of that show like immediately bring me back to childhood as well.
Oh yeah, the theme song, it's that's an iconic theme song,
It
and
is.
it's so different from what we hear in this special. But I mean, whenever I was sick, I same thing. I'd love to just stay home, or during the summers, you'd
Yeah.
get up not super early, but you'd play a little bit, maybe play some video games or go outside and play, and then at 10 o'clock, yeah, you'd come in and watch The Price is Right with Bob
Price is
Barker,
Right.
and yep, it's so good. And he always had
And if
that.
it was a Plinko day,
Oh,
man.
I loved Plinko. Yes. Yeah. Although
Were you about to mention his microphone?
I was, yeah.
Yeah, you were.
that nice long thin
I love that
mic of
thing.
his. Oh, it's so classic, it's just one of those images that you don't forget. I
Yep.
mean, really, it's
Absolutely.
so iconic, like Alex Trebek's mustache.
That's right.
It's seeing him without it is just as strange as like when Bob Barker came out in like a movie, and he wasn't in his suit and didn't have the long microphone. It was
Right.
odd. So man, yeah, it's I don't know, but anyway. So a couple of facts about Cabbage Patch Kids that I thought were interesting. In 1985, Christopher Xavier was the first Cabbage Patch Kid to go aboard a space shuttle mission. So that was kind of cool. And he now lives at the Smithsonian in Washington. The Cabbage Patch Kids were also the mascots for the U.S. Olympic team in 1992 for the Barcelona Games. And I actually did remember that one.
I did too, and it's just wild, isn't it?
It really is. And I was I was looking at the pictures earlier, and their the hairstyle is totally like 92. I mean, it's
yes.
Absolutely. It's just they had like the fades and like the flat tops, and I mean, they were rocking it. It was. They really captured it, trying to be hip and trendy or whatever. And I think at that point, at 92, I don't remember if they were Hasbro or Mattel, because Coleco filed for bankruptcy in 88. And then I think Hasbro bought them first, and then Mattel bought them afterwards. But, and then they kind of went through several other companies through there. But nowadays, they have a lot of this, like whenever you go to Target, they'll have the big ones too, but most of the ones are like those, 7 or 8 inch size balls, the smaller ones, which my daughter, when she was 3 or when she was 2, she loved better than the bigger ones because just easier for her to carry.
Right. Well, and the newborns are that size. I mean, they're they're not exactly that small, but they're just a shade bigger than those.
Yeah.
And like the full size ones were pretty stinking big.
They
like
were huge, yeah.
They would really hurt your toe when you drop their head on it. So like my newborn one was a smaller size, and it was like perfect. It was the perfect shove under your armpit, like most kids do with stuff they love size.
Yes.
And so I've seen those small ones in the store, and I'm like, that makes a lot more sense than a big old honkin',
Yeah. Well, and it's cool because they have most of those smaller ones are like they're dressed up as in like animal costumes, like there's a zebra one and a tiger one and whatever. But during Christmas time, they're in like elf costumes and Santa costumes and things like that.
That's
and
fun.
I'm always tempted to get one for my 1-year-old because I know she would probably like it. And for some reason, I just haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
I keep saying, okay, next time I'll do it. And so I think now that she kind of will know a little bit more, because her birthday's like on the 30th of December, so it's right after Christmas. She'll be 2. So I think she'll be at that age where it's like perfect. Let's get her one of those.
I mean, based on me and your brother, it sounds like that's the perfect age to get them.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, Cabbage Patch Kids. I mean, the thing that I remember most about them is that Garbage Pail Kids ripped them off. That was like my biggest memory of them. And I loved Garbage Pail. I mean, I was a little boy, so of course, who didn't?
Sure.
But I loved Garbage Pail Kids. They were like my favorite. And they had, because they were the really gross ones, which funny. But then there were like really cool ones, like the barbarian kind of Conan type guy, and like the guy that looked like Rambo, and the robot that was like a transformer. I mean, those are like really cool. So I remember, and it was right after they lost that lawsuit, because of course Xavier Roberts, which it's funny, he went through this whole hey, I stole your idea, let me settle out of court, and then he went on to sue the creators of Garbage Pail Kids, copyright infringement there too. And so they ended up, before anything was final, they changed like the logo so it wasn't the same anymore. And then they changed the look slightly. And I remember it was like series 7 or 8 when it happened, and you could see the difference. I mean, it just, they didn't look the same anymore. Yeah. And I remember kind of just not liking them after that. So that's kind of a testament to like the Cabbage Patch style and look, like how much they appealed even to me, who didn't really like them, but I liked the way they were utilized in these crazy, grotesque, humorous cards. It's
those things were traded like black market in my elementary school. You remember that? Like somebody would have one you hadn't seen, and like my mom hated those for obvious reasons.
So did my mom, but my dad was
and
he didn't care.
Did he like them?
He let us get them.
Did he get a kick out of them?
He did. I remember, like, we'd go to KB Toy. Do you remember KB Toy Store?
Yes, I remember KB Toy Store.
So we'd go to KB Toys, and whenever we'd like on payday or something, and as we were checking out, they would have the Garbage Pail Kids right there by the end of the counter. It was like one of those impulse buys, and so we would convince our dad to get us some.
Buy them for you. Oh my god!
So he would usually get us each a pack of cards, and if we had duplicates, we'd trade amongst ourselves, and of course, like you said, sometimes with our friends. But
yeah.
But, my mom, same thing. She was grossed out by them. She did not like them.
Yeah, some of them like really scared me when I was younger.
There were a few
like grossed me out and scared me, and I remember being like, "No, that's nothing like my Cabbage Patch at home," and like having to calm myself down. It was really pretty horrifying, but it was funny. I remember seeing him around school and being like,
"Oh yeah,
Pail Kid, dude."
Yeah, you'd put it in your backpack, and then like during recess, you'd take it out and like, hey, like check these out. Look, I got the new ones.
That's right. I know. It's so innocent. I love it.
Oh man, yeah, definitely, like you said, black market.
Yeah, it definitely had a black market feel to him.
Yeah, those are that's like my biggest memory of quote unquote Cabbage Patch Kids. But yeah, Cabbage Patch Kids, they're one of those things that their face and their design is just, it's so memorable, so iconic, and it really does bring it. Even me, like I wasn't a huge fan, but I see it and it brings a huge smile to my face.
Yeah.
So I mean, they've been on everything. They've been on stamps. They have like their own physical Babyland General Hospital place. It's actually there in Georgia, and I mean, it's, to this day, people like 250,000 or more people show up every year.
Yep.
I mean, that just blows my mind. I can't even, it's like they really haven't been like a huge thing, and still, people just take their kids there and they'll go and they'll adopt, their Cabbage Patch baby. So that's so cool.
It's really something.
It really is. But yeah, they have twins. Oh, in '83, I believe, there were quintuplets that were born, quote unquote. Born, and someone paid $5,000 to purchase those quintuplets. And that's like at the high, and at this point, they're probably worth like ridiculous amounts. So
absolutely.
It's definitely an investment, but just that's at their height. They dominated the toy biz.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just so cool. And of course, a lot of kids got them for Christmas. I know that's when my brother got his, and I got mine, that I kind of pushed away.
Bad timing, Mom.
yeah, like, come on, no, what are you doing? But yeah, just something about them. They're so warm and fuzzy and cuddly. Yeah, those definitely give me the feels.
Yes.
And while this special didn't, they really did.
Yes, I totally agree.
So I have to ask, what is if you could pinpoint one, what would you say would be your happiest moment with your Cabbage Patch doll?
I have a hard time parsing it into one moment because my childhood exists with Lily. So she was just always there, and we lost a dog at some point in there, and I remember Lily being my refuge a little bit, right? I could sleep with her every night, and I had something I could squeeze and love on. And I joke that every year I lose a year of memory, and I really feel like I do. And I'm like I'm like at about 8th grade now. I mean, it's rough. But I vividly remember moments from childhood, and they're almost always tethered to, cartoons like we talked about, shows, or Lily.
Nice.
So I can't pick one. I don't remember the moment I got her. I just don't remember ever not having her.
Right on. Okay. Well, I honestly don't remember mine, but I would say that my happiest moment would be my brother. Just in general, him and his love for because I remember he took Toby Brooks everywhere. So that would probably be and that's my brother David, the middle child now. But yeah, anyway, so this is what I think it's time to move on to my favorite part of the show, which is Gag Me with the Spoon segment. So this is where we do our best impressions of our least favorite part. In this case, we'll be covering the Cabbage Patch First Christmas. So as the guest, I'll let you go first. Just kind of set up the scene for us, and then let's hear your best worst impression.
So I feel kind of bad about this, but it's the part that just I don't know. It was a lot. We talked about how dramatic it was in moments. And so when the kids are in the city and they see the nice lady and the nice man for the first time, and they're on the street, and this couple just saw them for the first time ever. And she gets really morose about it. And that's what makes me feel kind of bad, is because I feel bad for her, but it's like the way it was done. She looks at her husband, and her voice was perfect for an 80s mother voice, by the way. Can I just say that? Was. In a cartoon?
Yes.
It reminded me of, I don't know what specific, but I was like, that's definitely an 80s mom voice. kind of an 80s soap opera mom voice. A little bit.
Yeah.
But it was like she's sitting there and it was just so dramatic. Oh, honey, I thought coming to the city would make this easier, but it's just so hard.
That was excellent. It's going to be way
But
better
I feel bad. Like I felt kind of terrible that was like the most horrible part for me. What's yours? Now I want to
So
know
mine, and this is going to be, yours is going to be way better than mine. The part that I thought was the worst was when they see those thieves and they point out, like they get so meta, they're like, hey, that looks just like the other thieves that tried to grab us. And it's like the worst dialogue, whatever, everything. So this is the kids. I don't remember which one says it. So it was two of them. And oh man, okay, Lord help me. That lady looks like Lavender, and the man looked like Bo Weasel and Cabbage Jack.
Bravo. Oh, I like that one.
Oh, it's
your
terrible.
falsetto is impressive.
Oh, well, and my allergies are killing me today. The pollen count's super high, so it could have been better, but I will leave it up to you listeners now to vote for which one of us has the best worst impression, and the winner will get a I always want to say 'tis a podcast. No, the winner will get a totally rad Christmas sticker, unless I win, in which case I get nothing.
Oh, I hope I win. I really want a new sticker for my laptop.
There you go. So you can feel free to vote for Julia if you really want her to have a sticker.
Yeah, guys, I need that sticker.
Oh man, but before we get into this last thing, you are right. She had like the perfect like 80s mom cartoon voice, which is funny because the old ladies, I mean, they reminded me of like female Gargamel, you know. It was like that super scratchy, like for some reason the older folks in these 80s cartoons always had like scratchy voices, you know. It's just I don't know if they just can't do an old person voice, or like they have to overemphasize it, you know, to get the point. But
that is so funny though, because hers was equally familiar. Like I've heard that voice before.
Oh man, yeah. But anyway, so now I guess you know, the Joes, the GI Joes, they taught us that knowing is half the battle. Julia, what would you say is the other half of the battle?
Well, let's see, if knowing is half the battle, then the other half the battle is running in place for 3 seconds while your legs spin around in a circle and then going forward.
I think that's perfect. Yeah. That's better than mine. Mine was make sure you look exactly like a girl that you find so that you'll both be adopted together.
Oh gosh. Oh man.
Yeah.
I mean, oh, poor Jenny, or whatever her name was.
Jenny, yeah.
She got lucky.
Is it bad that when she came out and they said her name was Jenny, all I could think of was like 8675309?
That's not bad at all.
It's like, oh man. Yeah. I think I love the 80s a lot.
I see no problem with this.
Yeah. Right on. And that's why we like you. That's why you're you're everyone's favorite elf.
Oh,
you're never going to escape that. I had to bring it up again. I'm sorry.
Well, it's funny you brought that up because when I was talking to Anthony the other night, he said, hey, you're recording with Jerry later this week, right? And I'm like, I am. And he's like, let me tell you something kind of funny, because he said, I think he was intimidated to ask you to come onto the podcast. And I'm like, why? I'm like the nicest one of the three of you guys. And he's like, I don't know. He said that he thinks it's because like you and Anthony and Tom have a whole lot of like mixed circles, you know, like on one of those circle graphs.
Yeah.
TV fans and comics and all of that stuff. And so I know I'm not as cool as they are, but
you're cool. You're
really
cool.
glad you invited me.
Well, no, and it's not intimidated. It was more like I just didn't feel like we had that relationship yet, and
Sure.
so
Sure.
it was more like,
Totally understandable.
a little
I
more
told Anthony
uncomfortable
I'd
than
give you
anything
crap
else.
for
But
it.
but as
So.
soon as he said you should ask her, I thought, you know what, I'm going to. I think, yeah, that I will. So, and I'm glad you came. It was a lot of fun talking about this
Happy.
this weird Christmas special, and just reminiscing
Just
about
hot
the
Cabbage
80s
Patch
in
Kids.
general. So I'm glad you came.
Totally Red.
Hi, welcome back to another segment of Chatting with the Littles. I'm here with little number 1, my eldest daughter, who's almost 8. How are you doing today?
Good.
And she wanted to say a little something about her Cabbage Patch. Do you remember your Cabbage Patch Kid?
Yvette Magnolia.
Yvette Magnolia? Yeah, but what did you call her?
Eve.
Eve. And what was your favorite part about her?
That she comes with a flower in her hair and she has a lollipop.
Oh, the lollipop. Yeah, it was a really cool lollipop, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Did you remember any of Daddy's Garbage Pail Kids?
Ew.
So yes, that means yes, right? You remember them. You didn't like them, huh?
No.
You like your Cabbage Patch Kids much better?
Yes.
Why?
Because they're sweet and they smell good.
They're sweet and smell good. And Garbage Pail Kids don't?
No. They stink.
That's probably true. Especially some of those that live in trash cans and things like that, huh?
Ew. Like Oscar the Grouch.
Oh, no, not fun, huh? All right. Well, thanks for chatting with us, and I hope you and Eve enjoy.
Yvette.
Yvette, yes, okay. My mistake. We now return to our regularly scheduled program.
Totally Red.
You have anything you want to plug?
Well, thank you for inviting me. I'm really, really, really enjoying your podcast. It's so much fun to listen to. It brings me right back to the 80s. I was not a G.I. Joe fan, and your G.I. Joe episode with Todd was like the most fun thing I listened to all week long, and it made me want to go get some G.I. Joe figures, especially Snake Eyes. That whole thing about them running out of money, and so interesting. So thank you for inviting me on your podcast. It's fun to be a part of these first few episodes for you. It's magical. But that leads back to Tis the Podcast. So
yes.
We met Jerry through Tis the Podcast. So we don't just love Tis the Podcast for what we do together as Tom and Anthony and I, but we love it for the community as well. So we would love for you to come join us. If you've never heard of Tis the Podcast, you can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, and we just review movies. We do an episode a week, and we go through the good, the bad, and the ugly, Christmas movies and TV specials, and we just have a lot of fun talking. So we'd love for you to check us out.
Yes, you definitely should. They have a great Facebook group that is just super active. I mean, there's new stuff posted like every couple of hours, and sometimes quicker. And it's always so funny. If you're getting the Christmas blues, it's a great resource. So yeah, check them out. Give them good reviews on iTunes, and yeah, I think you get a sticker for that too. So.
Absolutely, you get a sticker for that.
So with that being said, let me just say that the Christmas spirit's a feeling you get when you're making someone else happy, such as finding us, as always, on our social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our website coming soon. Later, dudes.
So what did you want to say?
I have a challenge for us.
A challenge? What kind of challenge?
A challenge to make a Cabbage Patch Christmas long sleeve shirt.
Oh, that seems pretty interesting.
You can show it to us on
Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Yeah.
That's a good challenge. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing those.
Later, dudes!
The Cabbage Patch Kids' First Christmas, brought to you by Kmart, the place for all the good things that make Christmas dreams come true. Kmart, we've got it, and we've got it good.
Tomorrow it's a super Saturday of great fun and adventure with the Mighty Orbots, Turbo Teen, and Dragon's Lair. Plus, catch the Yuletide spirit with Scooby-Doo as he cooks up a batch of holiday surprises all tomorrow morning on ABC. Now stay tuned for Webster next.